The news over the past few weeks has been dominated by one question. Does the Labour Party have a problem with anti-Semitism? We have witnessed MPs, local councillors come out with horrific anti-Semitic statements and social media comments that can be described as manifesting Jew hatred. One case to illustrate is a recent headline in the Daily Mail. Labour's Councillor 20 suspended over claims she called Hitler the greatest man in history in the latest anti-Semitic scandal to hit Corbyn's party. The story focuses upon a young Muslim Labour councillor from Luton who wrote a series of anti-Semitic tweets on social media, such as in October 2012, Ed Miliband is Jewish, he will never become Prime Minister, and Adolf Hitler praised as the greatest man in history was a tweet in October 2011. How was she ever allowed to represent the Labour Party holding deeply disturbing anti-Semitic views and a shocking disgrace to the party? Believing that Hitler was the greatest man in history is to make a mockery of those 6 million precious Jewish lives that were murdered at the hands of the Nazis. It also dishonours our brave service men and women who sacrificed their lives to liberate Europe from fascism. She is now being suspended and facing an investigation. This has been followed by other recent news reports, such as the Oxford University Labour's Club co-chairman resigning, claiming a large proportion of its members had some kind of problems with Jews as they supported Israel Apartheid Week. Now Labour peer Baroness Royal is leading an inquiry into the activities of the University Club. On the BBC Sunday Politics, Mr Mann, who chairs the all-party parliamentary group against anti-Semitism, said there was no space for anti-Semitism in the Labour movement. We cannot tolerate a situation where any part of society doesn't feel that a major political party like the Labour Party is not the place for them, which is why prompt, effective action and vigilance on this is required, including from Mr Jeremy, Mr Mann said. In the past weeks, Labour has twice suspended the deputy chairman of its working branch, Vicky Bryan, for posting anti-Semitic tweets, and suspended Councillor Hadim Hussein, a former mayor of Bradford, for sharing a Facebook post that said, "Your school education system only tells you about Anne Frank and the 6 million Zionists that were killed by Hitler." Jonathan Arkush, the president of the Board of Deputies of British Jews, responded to a tweet by the brother of the Labour leader Jeremy Corbyn, which has been deemed anti-Semitic and which Corbyn defended his brother. Jonathan Arkush said that the response of the Labour leader was deeply disturbing. He went on to say that Jeremy Corbyn's defence of his brother's belittling of the problem of anti-Semitism is deeply disturbing. We cannot imagine that any other minorities' concerns would be dismissed offhand in this way. In the last few weeks, we've witnessed a stream of clear-cut cases of anti-Semitism in the Labour Party, which can't just be fobbed off as differences over Israel. Most of the Jewish community, numerous Labour MPs, Labour peers, and Labour's London mayoral candidate are crying out for the leader to take action on anti-Semitism. It would be incomprehensible for Mr Corbyn to remain inert and refuse to take this form of racism in his party seriously. The front page of the Jewish Chronicle reads, "Hard left target MP with terrifying abuse campaign. The hard work and courageous Louise Elman MP is being harassed because she's Jewish." Sadly, the Labour leader has again denied that the party had an issue with anti-Semitism, rejecting the idea that it faced a crisis. Corbyn has been quoted on record saying that at parliamentary gatherings, Hamas and Hezbollah are his friends, when these are genocidal terrorist organisations committed to the destruction of Israel and are enemies against the West. If you consider the representatives of these organisations as your friends, then who needs enemies?
I want to first of all say thank you everyone for being here tonight, and say that tomorrow evening it will be my pleasure and my honour to host an event in Parliament where our friends from Hezbollah will be speaking. I'd also invited friends from Hamas to come and speak as well. Unfortunately, the Israelis would not allow them to travel here, so it's going to be only friends from Hezbollah. So far as I'm concerned, that is absolutely the right function of using parliamentary facilities to invite people from other parts of the world.
If there was a general election tomorrow, Jeremy Corbyn would not stand a chance of becoming the next Prime Minister and forming the next government, and would probably lead the Labour Party to its biggest defeat in history. Politics can change like the wind, and a few years from now we may be facing an entirely different political, economic and social realities that could see Corbyn being elected as Prime Minister. The prospect of Corbyn being Prime Minister is a frightening prospect that does not bear contemplating. The anti-Israel, anti-Zionist views held by many within the leadership of the Labour Party, including the party leader himself, would do well to remind themselves of Labour's history. Historically, there were many left-wing Zionists within the party on either side of World War II. Famous political figures like Arthur Henderson and Harold Wilson and Richard Crossman. In 1946, Crossman wrote, "The party's Palestinian policy was the result of a profound conviction that the establishment of the national home is an important part of the socialist creed in supporting the re-establishment of the Jewish state." Corbyn and the leadership would do well to acknowledge and act upon the words written in the book of Genesis, chapter 12, verse 3. "I will bless those who bless you, and I will curse him who curses you." This is a warning to the leadership of the Labour Party that they will be cursed by the God of Israel if they do not get to grips with the rise of Jew hatred within their party.